welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenido to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. You know we love you in Africa, the Big C Trap. We love giving you the shout-out. We love you in Canada, but Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going on this beautiful January 31st, 2018, Big C?
Well, Charles, I've been up half the night with my Google and facts checking out after the State of the Union address last night by the president and trying to find all the accuracies that he stated last night. Inaccuracies.
Yeah.
I'm like him, and I don't know which story to tell, you know. So, I'm still trying to figure things out today.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I think when we watch, no matter what program you watch, you could just Google if someone's telling the truth now. But I will give POTUS some stones for something. He lies so much. He said it hasn't stopped him now. Why would he change, Big C? Did that make any sense? If a man can go out and he tell us, honey, I'm going out working overtime tonight, and he come home at 4 o'clock every morning and got lipstick on him and different kind of perfume, if she says, okay, honey, how was work? He says, oh, it was exhausting but fun, Big C. What? Would you change the story, Big C?
Well, you know, he might be able to pass it off with the makeup that he wears chocolate periodically, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I guess if your wife don't speak perfect English, then you can sit back and say, you know, she misconstrued your words.
Yeah.
She rejected your stuff. But you know, even when, you know, he was making statements last night, I mean, some of the falsehoods he made in his State of the Union address, Charlton, I mean, as president, sometimes you need to fact check stuff. You just can't run off at the lips like you got diarrhea or something. You know, you need to have some honesty in the things. And yes, you say a lot of things that are factual, but you say almost as many things that are infactual, Charlton.
Yeah, that's funny. So I do want to thank POTUS also for acknowledging the Black American male audience. He specifically, I understand code words, Big C. He shouted out the Black American athlete, okay? Not just, he had a speech to Black Americans, and he had a speech to white Americans, but then he took the time to single out Black American athletes. And I caught it because I'm pretty sharp on stuff, Big C. He said, you boys better start standing during the flag and hold your hand up to your chest. Well, if he was holding his hand to his chest, how would he go around grabbing women by the vagina, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's amazing the statements that he makes, you know. But, you know, you think about it, he made that statement to the African-American athletes.
Yeah.
He didn't make that to the staff at Michigan State, Charlton.
No.
He didn't make that to the players, the coaches at Michigan State, the administrators at Michigan State, Charlton, who have been hiding these sexual misconduct and assault allegations that have been going on for a couple of decades at that university.
Yeah.
He made no mention, you know, to the white Olympians, Charlton, who've committed Olympian doctors and administrators who allowed these sexual assaults to go on, Charlton.
Yeah.
He made no mention of that, Charlton. You know, he made a mention at one time about 2 mass shootings that went on in New York this past year.
Yeah.
You know, stating that these were immigrants that came into this country through the visa lottery, Charlton.
Yeah.
But he made no mention of the 14 mass shootings by Americans, and mainly the one in Las Vegas, Charlton, where almost 800 Americans were shot by a deranged individual that was allowed to carry all these automatic weapons, Charlton.
Was that guy from Mexico down in Las Vegas? Was the guy from Mexico in the hotel that shot over 400 people? Was he from Mexico, Big C?
Well, I think Vegas is a couple states away from Mexico, Charlton.
Yeah.
Nor did he make mention of the incident in Charlottesville, Virginia, Charlton.
No.
Of the neo-Nazi running down Americans on the street with a car.
Yeah.
He makes no mention of these things, but he wants to rile up his base by talking about 2 incidents.
Yeah.
But omitting 14 incidents, Charlton. He made no mention of the school shooting that just happened 2 weeks ago in Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know, the state where Rand Paul is a senator from. He made no mention about that. So, you know, this is what you do when you avoid the truth.
Yeah.
You can always keep a few, you know,
knuckleheads,
behind-the-scenes people satisfied. I don't want to say ignorant or stupid. Behind-the-scenes people satisfied. Other than telling them what's factual, Charlton.
Yeah.
I can understand saying that how many jobs have been created in America.
Yeah.
But he slipped something in and said only 200,000 of those were manufacturing jobs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Of the 2.1 million jobs that have been created, only 200,000 were manufacturing jobs. So what he said was people were taking jobs that you find on the internet.
Yeah.
They were not skilled jobs, Charlton.
Yeah.
They were just jobs that were available, retail, sales jobs, cashiers,
Yeah.
baggers and grocery stores, whatever those jobs were. Only jobs that were professional jobs were those manufacturing jobs that he spoke about, 200,000. So only 10% of the jobs, less than 10%, basically about 8.5% of the jobs that have been filled have been manufacturing jobs, jobs that have pensions involved, Charlton, that have insurance involved,
Yep.
and 401k plans.
Yeah, I mean, he's something else, Big C. I do want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. You can drive a car or you can drive a Cadillac. Big C, also, I want to just...
One other thing, Charlton.
Yeah.
Did he address the health insurance of America?
No, he said he stripped Obamacare, Big C. That's what he said. He got a standing ovation by telling people you don't have health insurance, Big C.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted him to address is how Americans are going to secure health insurance now, Charlton, without the Obamacare mandate that you have to insure people with pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
He proudly said, I stopped the coverage for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he didn't explain his new plan is going to allow people to get health insurance with pre-existing conditions. And everybody somebody knows somebody who has a pre-existing condition.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And especially children.
Yeah.
When you look at this situation with children, and especially with the CD, Center for Disease Control,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, his head of that industry resigned today.
Yeah.
Because after he appointed her, director of Center for Disease Control in America, she bought stocks in a lot of pharmaceutical companies, Charlton, that
Yeah.
ironically went through the ceiling.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing how you help people out. You
help your
a
own.
certain amount of people that, you make this lady a very wealthy woman for getting some things passed for some pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it comes out, so she resigns, but she made, several $1 million in the process of doing this, Charlton.
Oh, yeah, and ironically, and again, we applaud everyone who does a good job, but the economy was actually growing at a faster clip during that same first year under President Obama. But people don't Google or they don't fact check. I'm glad that some of the networks were fact checking, MSNBC and CNN. I didn't see that on Fox because they don't even know what fact checks is, Big C. That's why they can keep pushing forward whatever they hear from POTUS. But I also heard with this tax break, and everybody wants to pay less in taxes. We're going to give everyone a tax break, and we're going to have this federal program to rebuild the highways. Well, who's going to pay for the highways if we cut taxes on everybody? I guess it's going to be volunteer. You can volunteer to pay for the highways that they're going to do this new infrastructure in the United States. But ironically, Big C, there were some companies that POTUS was talking to have them express how they were giving, using their tax break, what they were going to do with that money. And some were giving bonuses up to $500 and maybe even a $5 an hour pay raise. But they went to this Walmart. Last I understood, Walmart does not offer health care benefits to its employees. What a shame to use Walmart as a company that doesn't offer health care benefits and talk about how they're going to use their tax break to give somebody an extra $100. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you're giving somebody an extra $100, pay at Walmart. Their average pay scale, I believe, is about $10 an hour.
Yeah, very minuscule.
So why not increase their pay $2 an hour? Forget the $500 bonus. I think they would rather have a $2 an hour pay increase because over the span of the year, that's going to increase. But he also made a statement that went under the radar with a lot of people, Charlton.
Yeah.
When he stated that the average couple that makes at least $75,000 a year. Now think about that.
Yeah.
The average couple that makes $75,000 a year is going to receive a $2,000 tax credit, tax return on their, so if you go look at the middle class in America, Charlton, there's a lot of people where you have couples working that make, 40, 50, 60, 65,000. They don't make 75,000.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the average American who is not in that $75,000 range, Charlton, and that's the Midwest. That's his base.
Yeah.
You don't find people in West Virginia. You don't find people in Kansas. You don't find them in Nebraska. They're not making $75,000 a year, especially if you have a stay-home wife that's rearing the children.
Yeah.
So when you sit there and this tax break is going to be beautiful and huge and ginormous, there's about 40% of America that won't see any part of that.
Yeah.
40% of America won't see any part of that tax break. So and when you think about his base, probably about 40 to 50% of his base won't see any of it, Charlton.
Yeah.
Won't see any of it. So I think people need to, at times, when you say Google, read any of that stuff, watch something other than Fox News, and understand.
You know, ironically, Big C, when we think about everybody who wants to do better in our society, and of course we do, but I just wonder, and I know there's some politicians that did not show up and they didn't want to be there because they don't want to go where someone's just going to lie over and over and over again. At least POTUS is one thing. He's consistent at being what he calls fake news. And whether you like him or not, he knows how to stay on point because he kept reading that teleprompter last night. Big C, he didn't venture off too much of the teleprompter last night, but he kept bringing up that point. I just thought, as an African-American male, to not even acknowledge some of the issues in our society because he called out black athletes, and primarily NFL players without saying their name, the standing for the flag thing, and never acknowledged the patriotism that a lot of these athletes have had where their fathers and mothers have served in the military. And because he made it mostly about the African-American athlete, he never even paid homage to how many African-Americans have served in the armed services in the United States of America, something that Donald Trump never did on his own. So I took a lot of umbrage when someone says that you guys that don't want to stand for our flag and not acknowledging why they were asking for some national dialogue and some law changes, which is what's happening, he's so insensitive or ignorant that he did not even acknowledge what they were asking the people to pay attention to. Do you find that disingenuous, or did he just not care, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, it's not disingenuous, Charlton. It's not knowledgeable. It's just utter stupidity.
Yeah.
Because to sit there and say that these athletes are standing for social injustice, and he wouldn't acknowledge that. That means he's stupid about what they were standing for, Charlton.
Yeah.
Not uninformed, just stupid about what they're standing for.
Yeah.
You know, he made no comments about all the sexual misconduct that's going on. He didn't say anything about Michigan State and this huge, campaign that's going there about social injustice.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me the most, Charlton. When you have a platform to address all Americans, and protect all Americans' rights, Charlton, is that you don't utilize that. All you do is look at a few nice things that you've done, and I'm waiting for the end of the week because he can't hold Twitter that long. He'll do it by Friday. Okay? He'll do it by Friday. But this is a point with this situation in Michigan State, Charlton. This should have been addressed in a State of the Union message, Charlton.
I know.
This has been widespread, not just Michigan State, but we've looked at Hollywood, we've looked at the entertainment industry, we've looked at television.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to address it because Bill O'Reilly, one of his main backers and buddies, was the first to go at Fox because of all the sexual abuse. He wasn't going to address the issue, Charlton, that his lawyer paid this porn star $130,000 hush money to be quiet, as well as the 17 women who have filed suits against him, Charlton, since he's been president, because he can't go back and sue them privately because he's the president. So he's taken out of the private sector of suing somebody. He can't no longer do that as long as he's in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
So these suits can go forth, just like they were with Trump University and all. But Charlton, he had a fiduciary duty last night, Charlton, to address Michigan State.
Yeah.
And all these other sexual misconducts that's been going on over the country. You're the president. And to have all these young ladies, which have now exceeded 200 at one institution, Charlton, come forth and speak about the misconduct and the environment that has gone on at this university, a state institution that's federally funded, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you're the head of the federal. You're the president.
Yeah.
And not to address this issue, Charlton, as these young ladies don't exist.
Yeah.
What is the value of a young girl?
Yeah.
We know what he knows the value of a porn star is. He knows the value of a porn star is $130,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money for any woman, and I wonder what you get for $130,000. I mean, I'm a little bit naive, Big C, and I live in California, and I know that's the oldest profession in the world. But to see that the president is using taxpayer money to pay for it, Big C, I think isn't that what Anthony Weiner did? He used taxpayer money to pay for the women that he was buying. and prosecuting men for doing the same thing.
Elliot Spencer also, Charles.
Yeah.
He was doing that.
Yeah.
But you know, he would not address this heinous act that's been going on with the U.S. Olympic Committee that is funded by the federal government, Charlton,
Yeah.
and Michigan State. That's what I'm appalled at, is
Yeah.
that he walked away from that because it encumbers him, Charlton, in his actions.
Yeah.
Because he would have been brought to the forefront, so he won't touch on that. But yet he attacked African-American athletes. And in this attacking of African-American athletes, Charlton,
Yep.
Colin Kaepernick is still resonating 2 years after the fact. Realistically, it's
Yeah.
2 years after the fact, because it was 2 seasons ago when he did it.
Yeah.
Last season he didn't play. I want to know how long this Michigan State and Olympic incident is going to resonate. How long will the media bring that up? Or will they let it go because it's white people involved, Charlton?
Well-
It's white people committing criminal acts. Now, Colin Kaepernick did not commit a criminal act.
No.
But we have these white men that committed criminal acts and covered up criminal acts, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, the people of power covered all this up. And how long will the media, ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC, how long will they cover it? How long will they bring up these incidents about Michigan State? Every time we see a gymnastics event on television,
Yeah.
will they talk about Michigan State? Will they talk about Larry Nassar? Just like we see a football game and Colin Kaepernick's name constantly comes up when we see a sports highlight showing Colin Kaepernick's name come up.
Wow.
How long will they bring up Larry Nassar? How long will they bring up Michigan State? I want to know if they will give the criminals a beatdown like they given Colin Kaepernick a beatdown, Johnson.
Big C, that's a very good point you brought up, and I was thinking also about, because I happen to know of someone who was also, shot in the incident down in Las Vegas, and, by a third person, but he didn't have, and maybe I missed it, but he did not bring up any of the family members or the victims of anyone that was murdered in Las Vegas or anyone that was shot in Las Vegas, and talked about how they got to stop that activity because that's gun control and also a white male. They didn't want to put a white male out there as a guy who harmed hundreds of people, but they called out a couple of people that were Mexican descent that harmed maybe one or two people. And no one's condoning any violence, of course not. But
Charlton,
yeah.
he didn't bring up the mother or the father of the young lady that died in Charlottesville, Virginia, Charlton.
didn't
That's
bring
right
her up.
down the street. We're talking 100 miles away from the White House.
Yeah.
He didn't invite them to
No.
State of the Union address.
No, he
because
didn't.
their daughter was killed by a neo-Nazi, which are some good people, as he say.
Yeah.
He didn't invite that family into the speech, Charlton.
Yeah, and that's
How embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, but it's also, if you think about how much of the world was captured by the Las Vegas incident. Now, my heart goes out to any family that's ever had any type of tragedy, but the whole world was aware of what happened down in Vegas. In fact, there was world media that showed up down in Vegas, and the fact that there were hundreds of people that were shot down in Las Vegas. And I think almost 70 murdered, 60-something murdered, Big C, and not have any mention to any one of those family members or law enforcement that showed up to help defend people in Las
First
Vegas.
responders, Charlton. Not even recognize the first responders.
None.
Not even give them, a round of applause or praise for the work that they did, Charlton, going in under fire,
No.
putting their life in peril,
Yeah.
to go out and save the lives of others, and not even think about the heroic citizens, Charlton, who accommodated pickups and transportation
Yep.
to get people to the hospital, people they didn't even know, Charlton, to
Yep.
help save lives.
Yep.
He didn't speak about that. He didn't speak about the heroism of Americans who cared about other Americans.
Yeah.
These are the things that he omits from what he's saying because he doesn't care. It's not that he's not in touch. He doesn't care. These people are beneath him. Okay?
Yep. Yeah.
They are beneath him. But let me give you a saying, Charlton, that,
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't recognize, and they call it racist.
Yeah.
But it's race on race racism.
Yeah.
White, rich, well-off people call white poor people trailer trash, okay? Nobody else does.
Yeah.
And so in his mind, that's that trailer trash, boot-kicking, bullshitty
Yeah.
mentality.
Hey, hold on. Bull what, BC? Was that bull riding? Bull what?
Bullshitty.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I didn't want to have to beat you, Big C.
Okay. So, in his mind, these are a bunch of crap kickers out there in Vegas wearing cowboy boots person getting drunk drinking beer, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't drink champagne like him.
Yep.
You know, these are the ones, these are the lower class white people who come to think, because they're at an outdoor concert.
Yeah.
They're not at the opera or something of that nature, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're outdoors, you know, sitting on lawn chairs. So he don't resonate with those people, Charlton.
Yeah, and
that's beneath him. So he's not going to address the sanctity of these people. These are human beings. These are American citizens.
Yeah.
They're out there in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
He talked nothing about the American citizens, Charlton, that were attacked. He didn't even speak about the church incident in Texas, Charlton.
Yeah.
Where the guy goes into a church on Sunday, worship something he knows nothing about because he's on the golf course.
Yeah.
And shoots up these people in a house of worship. He didn't speak about that, Charlton. He didn't speak about the American citizens who ran them down on the street, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who took their lives in danger to chase down this criminal, those culprits, Charlton.
Yeah.
He didn't address these people, and that's what bothers you the most. He does not address the heroic act of American citizens, Charlton.
Yeah.
Or he does not address the heinous acts of those other American citizens, Charlton.
Yeah, that's something that we keep in mind. I just got to bring this up because, you know, I talked to a lot of people in the youth basketball league in California, you know, boys and girls. And when I see, I mean, every father that has a daughter, even if you don't want to admit it, you probably concerned more about your daughter's safety than your son's safety, because that's just a thing that maybe it's a mechanism in our DNA. And I'm sure that maybe women have that same. It just seems, at least that's my DNA. I'm sure that half the fathers would agree with that. But when I look at young girls, and we're getting ready for the Olympics, and we have people here in Northern California in the Tahoe region, and they're talking about going off for the Olympics, and they want to do well in the Winter Olympics. And they look at all the young people, all the time and energy they put into it. And they also gathered around to watch the State of the Union. And for one of the issues that a lot of women are concerned about is, will they be safe in any environment, especially when they're in a male environment? And for those same young girls that watched the State of the Union speech last night, not one time did they hear their president. And I got to say, I was wrong, because I thought he would, Big C. I thought he would ask the people in the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, to make life safer for young girls. I thought he would do that because it's been all over the news, but he didn't do that. And not only that, a lot of these young girls, they're thinking, well, what do I count in all of this? Big C, what can be said to the young women where the president won't do it? What can more people do? Do we apologize for the president, or do we tell them they're on their own? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, how can you apologize for a man of power who does not care about everybody? He's made that known since he started running for president, Charlton, as he omitted people from, you know, his campaign.
Yeah.
And from society as he spoke about them. He spoke about indigents. You know, it's like when he sat there last night and he made a statement about African-American unemployment is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
How does he know that? You know, how can you prove any statistics on unemployment in America is at an all-time low? What happens, Charlton, is statistically, people fall out of being able to get unemployment, so
Yeah.
they fall off statistically, so you no longer count.
Yeah.
And so many people no longer can receive unemployment because that 6-month window has run out.
Yeah.
And run out during his presidency from the last presidency, so they just say it's not there.
Yeah.
When you see employment numbers are up, and you say that 2.1 million more Americans are employed now since you've become president. Well, I think the population in America, Charlton, is above 360 million people.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, and then you say you're going to bring all these industry jobs back to America, but yet you admitted that only 200,000 industry jobs have been created.
Yeah.
Those are jobs that were filled. They weren't created. Those had openings, Charlton, and they had to find the qualified people. But he did not state the nationality of people that got those jobs. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Whether they were foreigners, and we still have immigrants that come in and fill some of these jobs, Charlton, because of the technical, you know, ingenuity that's involved in them.
Yeah.
And so you have to be specific. You just can't paint a broad brush and say that everything is good. Because I think that everybody knows somebody who is still unemployed and struggling, Charlton,
Yeah.
in America. The jobs just didn't show up.
Yeah.
People take jobs because they have to put food on the table. So sometimes you'll take a job. A job is a job. You don't have the job qualifications for an upper-level job, Charlton.
Yeah.
Or you might have that qualification and you can't get it because
Yeah.
people will tell you that you're overqualified.
Yeah.
But I think when the president misleads people intentionally and he makes false statements in his State of the Union address, like when he talked about this chain migration,
Yeah.
that you could come into this country, and this is what Americans need to know. With chain migration, you can't bring everybody that you know into America. He made that statement.
I know that.
And basically when he speaks, you're under oath.
Yeah.
You know, and so he made this statement.
Yeah.
You cannot bring aunts and cousins into the country. You can bring immediate family into the country in chain migration.
Yeah.
Only immediate family.
Yeah.
Mother, sister, mother, father. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else. But he made that broad statement to make it look to those in his base that he's stopping those other people from coming into this country.
Yeah.
And it's a false fact that he stated, Charlie. And so I think in his speech writing is that he needs to be honest. He needs to have honest speech writers. The day before, Charlton, even in the tickets that were sent out,
Yeah.
you know, they even misspelled that, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the State of the Union address, it was the State of the Union.
Yeah.
It ended with an M instead of an N.
Yeah.
So that lets you know the lack of intelligence of people that are surrounding the president when they can't even spell. And that's not the first thing that they've sent out that's been misspelled.
Yeah, and we know he's not going to be the one writing all of his speech, but he definitely can read that teleprompter. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Benmark. They've been around half a century. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, you reach out to them. Let them know that Big C Center at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. There's a magazine coming out, Big C, in February, Black History Month, by ESPN. Guess what it's called? It's called The State of the Black Athlete. Okay? It's a full-page article. In fact, the whole magazine is pretty much dedicated to the Muhammad Ali era, in a sense, at least conscious-wise, where it actually has a lot of facts in there that you really can't, dispute, but people can find a way to make stats say what they want to say. But I think it's so powerful and poignant to bring it up because Donald Trump, pointed out, he called up the black athletes, the ones who stand for civil rights, the ones who take a knee and say, look, we want to have more attention addressed around this issue. The Black Lives Matter movement also affects white women. It's the same cause. They're calling for equality in everything and also equal protection under the law, which also affects white women. The same women that vote for Trump that Trump won't even acknowledge on how to protect them. That's the juxtaposition that I look at. There are black men taking a knee to call for criminal justice reform and social justice reform and equal pay among men and women. And then Trump says, you SOBs get out of the country or whatever, or fire the SOBs. Well, those black athletes that he said fire the SOBs, they stand up more for women than he has, Big C. And he says fire them, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he doesn't have the integrity of these African-American athletes. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That they're in the business of integrity and support and teamwork.
Yeah.
He's not about that. He's about himself and his family, period. That's it. I mean, everybody's about protecting their family, but he protects his family at the cost of others, Charlton. He's let a lot of other families fall by the wayside in not paying the bills that he owed them, Charlton, and amongst other things in America, and these families have become destitute over the years, and he doesn't even think about paying them. Even though he said he's one of the richest men in America and would not pay his bills, he would rather sue somebody than pay them. That's not patriotism, Charlton. That's anti-American. That's not standing for what the flag stands for. You pay your debt in America. You don't file bankruptcy several times and say, well, those people just have to deal with it. I'm not paying them. And that's what he's done. But to attack a sector of athletes, Charlton, in America, I mean, he didn't attack the athletes that were down in Rio de Janeiro last year, Charlton, stealing and being arrested like he did the UCLA kids. He didn't attack them. They were white swimmers, so it was okay for them to go down. And they were supposed to be down under the American flag, not under a university's watch, Charlton, but under the American flag because they were part of the U.S. Olympic team. And so he didn't attack them in any kind of way. But, to go out and attack these NFL players over and over, and I like what Roger Goodell said today. He said, I don't pay attention to what the guy said. Now, this is the commissioner of the NFL. He said, they don't pay attention to what the president of the United States says about his league. Because this league is more successful than this president will ever be. And it means more to America America. You think about it. The prowess of the NFL.
Yeah.
It means more to American sanctity and society than the President of the United States. It makes more money for more Americans than the President of the United States. When you think about the billions of dollars that the NFL generates, Charlton, over the time that Goodell has been in charge and will still be in charge for the next 5 years, it will generate more money for the people that it's involved in than what this president will do outside his circle.
You know, that's a very good point you made, Big C. More people will watch the Super Bowl than watch the State of the Union speech last night. But for him to call out Black Americans specifically, think about what you just said about Goodell. Black Americans make up 70% of the National Football League, a little bit more than 70% of the National Football League. If anyone were to go out to their car today, and you find 3 tires missing out of 4 tires on your car, that would probably cause a lot of concern for the people who went to get in that car. Well, the NFL, their tires, 3 of their 4 tires are African American. So if anything's wrong with those 3 or 4 tires, wouldn't you call, a tow truck or something to get it fixed to remedy that issue? And when the African American male decides to remedy that issue, and that goes way back, way further than Muhammad Ali, at least they were not shouted out. And I can't see, even Ali went under a lot of hatred also. But in this day and age, where you have, and I just got to bring it up before we get on a few sports, Big C, because it's personal to me. Because as black men, we always know you got to try hard, and we want to try hard. We want to work hard. We want to have whatever we want to have. We got to work it. We got to work hard and earn it. We want that. We just don't want someone tying our hands behind our back and saying, okay, compete with this guy in hand singles, and you got your hands tied behind your back. We all know what the Kerner Commission taught us, but I got to bring this point up because it's poignant, and too many dumb guys don't even recognize it when it happens. When he says, for you that won't stand for the flag, the hell with you, are you SOBs, fire the SOBs. So he's saying, in essence, fire these guys who stand for social justice, because he doesn't. He's saying fire these guys who stand for women's rights, because he doesn't. He's saying fire these guys who stand up for their black kids, because he doesn't. And he's saying fire these guys who want to bring attention to any type of wrongdoing with sexual predators, because he doesn't. And we know he's been accused of being one by his own mouth, okay? So that guy can have that type of vitriol and enmity for black men. The code word was the SOBs, but he wanted to say black men. He just didn't know how to say it. But that code word, the SOBs, that's part of his, think about it. The President POTUS, his first State of the Union, he called out 2 groups of people, Mexicans and black men who were athletes. If you can Google that, that's what the SOBs were related to, Big C. But these men had created a billion-dollar industry called the National Football League. And at the same time, he doesn't appreciate it because they're not all white. Is it just me, Big C, or should that be something that every black man should think about when they want to go to the White House and shake this guy's hand after they win a championship, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, think about this. He fired the director of the FBI.
Yeah.
Which is the Justice Department, okay?
Yeah.
Standing for justice for all. That's what the FBI is.
Yep, yeah.
It's not about sharing equal thoughts about American liberties, Charlton. It's embedded in him from his youth, from his birth.
Yeah.
Racism.
Yeah.
He never saw black athletes on a regular basis till he hit the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I know that everybody can have their own opinion and their difference of opinion, and that's part of life, and we all understand that. I do want to touch a little bit on the NBA. I know Golden State, Big C, last night. Man, talk about a team that has a letdown. When they let down hard, Big C. They lost by 30 points up in Utah last night, and I know we had the State of the Union, so maybe maybe their focus was off for whatever reason up in Utah. Utah's not that great of a team. Going into that game last night, you would have thought Golden State would have easily won. Utah's at the bottom of the pack of the Northwest Division in the Western Conference at 21-28, going into another 22-28 Utah. And Golden State went into the game 40-10. Now they're 40-11. How does a team like Golden State have a letdown against a team like Utah, Big C? Your thoughts?
We're talking about they're facing a team that's getting paid also.
Yeah.
The ironic part about the NBA and any professional sport that you deal with is that everybody wants to win. It's competitive. You may not always win, but Charlton, you go out to be competitive every night.
Yeah.
And, when you're a three-point shooting team and you're off by a little bit, that means that your game is going to go down. And, you think about Golden State, when you're the hottest shooting three-point team in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you just can't get there that night because that rhythm is off. All that other team has to do is play a normal game of basketball.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to change up their missed out because they're playing Golden State. Golden State is a run and gun team. And when it's not falling, you're going to have some losses throughout the season, Charlton.
Yeah.
And periodically, you're going to lose to teams that no one expects you to lose to. But that's the thing about professional sports, Charlton, is that everybody out there is getting paid.
Yeah.
Fans are paying their money for their home team to win.
Yeah.
And Utah delivered last night.
Yeah, so congratulations, Utah. I know they had a lot to do with the Gordon Hayward leaving and going to the Celtics. And now this year they're having a tough go at it. Last year in the playoffs, this year they're the abyss of that division, Big C, in the Western Conference and the Southwest Division. I want to jump up to the North again because I know we talked about Blake Griffin and how in Los Angeles, they never really made them what they thought he would make them with that 5-year, $170+ million contract. Now that's gone. They don't have to worry about that. Chris Paul's out. He thought he was surprised to be traded, Big C. Do you think why would he be surprised that he was traded, Big C? Was he led to believe that he's going to be the franchise guy in LA, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't know why he's surprised because when he negotiated that $170 million contract, he didn't put a no-trade clause in it.
Right.
Okay? So if you don't put that no-trade clause in there, that opens the door for you. And when you look at Blake, I mean, he's the second all-time leading Clipper scorer in the history of that franchise.
Yeah.
And so he thought because everybody else was let go that he would be there, but that they needed him.
Yeah.
That without him, the Clippers would cease to exist. Well, they've been in existence for a long time, Charlton.
Yeah.
With an open-door policy that we will let you go.
Yeah.
And so Blake was just the latest player in that thing. But, last night Detroit played well without him being there. They had Cleveland a devastating loss last night.
Yeah.
Not only did they lose the game, but they lost Kevin Love with a broken hand.
Wow.
And you think about Cleveland, they gave up 25 points again last night.
Yeah.
This is a team that has forgotten how to play defense. And when you think about it, they've lost 7 consecutive nationally televised games, the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So this is a team that when people talking about they will right the ship,
I don't know.
by the time that the finals come along, they may be watching the finals with several other teams, Joe.
Yeah, that's true. And with all the talk about who's going to be there and who's not going to be there, if you look at someone like LeBron, which is always going to be LeBron, what is LeBron going to do? I know Isaiah Thomas, he still plays like he's hurt. I know there's a lot of pressure on players to perform, especially when you're replacing a guy like Kyrie Irving, who helped them win an NBA championship. And you look at Isaiah Thomas, there are people that saying, well, he's a liability on defense. And then people blame Kevin Love as a liability on defense. Well, they can't blame Kevin Love anymore. He's out for a couple of weeks, Big C. So with Cleveland, are we still talking about Cleveland even being the top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, or is it just because LeBron James? If LeBron James was not there, there'd be no talk about Cleveland even being a number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're just a half a game from being the 4th seed right now.
Yeah.
Miami's a half a game behind them, and they play each other tonight. So, that they can flip-flop positions in the Eastern Conference right now, Charlton, after tonight's game. So, this is a team that has struggled to find its identity this year.
Yeah.
It hasn't been the team that it was in the past. And that happens with age. They've had so many injuries at the beginning of the season. And trying to incorporate all these players in, you were trying to get Wade in, you were trying to get the kid that used to be in Chicago, the former Rose.
Rose, yeah.
To get him incorporated into the lineup. J.R. Smith was a little butthurt with all these moves back and bringing in other guys. Isaiah Thomas did not start off the season with the team. Kevin Love hurt for the second time this year.
Yeah.
You think about Christian Thompson, he was run down by hanging out with the Kardashians. So his legs were shot at the start of the season. So they've had a lot of adjustments in the lineup that they've been trying to get right.
Yeah.
Because when you lose half of those guys, that's half the lineup, Charlton.
Yeah.
That was not able to play. And so everybody's wondering what's wrong with the Cavaliers other than getting old.
Yeah.
They just haven't had enough time together.
Yeah, they haven't had that time together. Big C, your thoughts on Boston? Boston is playing at a 700% winning streak. They're number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and right there nip and tuck with Toronto. And I know whether they get Gordon Hayward back or not, he's not going to come in with the same chemistry. He's not going to come in with the same type of energy that he had before he was injured. Maybe he will, but chemistry is something they got to all work with together. So even if they get him back, that may not be a good thing because they're already at the top of the heap in the Eastern Conference. If Hayward's good and healthy to go, in a couple of more weeks or even a few months, Big C, especially for the playoffs. Would you put him in as a starter? Would you bring him off the bench, or would you even let him sit until next year? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's no guarantee that he's going to be healthy enough to play. The problem they have right now is that Kyrie is injured. Kyrie has a quad strain, and he may be out for a couple weeks. And if he's not in the lineup, there's about a 20-point differential with them scoring when he's not in the lineup. So that's the biggest concern right now.
Yeah.
Is what are they going to do without Kyrie in the lineup? And so this team, when we talk about them and Toronto made next week,
yeah,
the team that's in first place in the Eastern Division.
Yeah, that's a good point, Big C, to bring up. I want to look at Harden, another guy with that low. When you going to grow your beard like Harden, Big C? I think if I don't know, he might have some stuff hiding up in that beard, Big C. I don't know how people think that's attractive, but hey, everybody's different, Big C. It's not for me. I just wonder how guys can have that much extra weight. You think he can have more hops on him if he cut about 5 pounds of hair off of his chin, Big C? Just a thought, but it doesn't stop him from dropping 60 on the Orlando Magic. I think Harden can always score. No one's ever said he couldn't score. No one ever said that he's not a guy you want the ball to have in his hands with 5 seconds to play and you're down by 1. I'd rather have Harden because he knows how to draw the foul. He can also shoot the 3. He can also drive the basket. He can also pass out, so he can assist. He can go to the hoop. He can pull up from 3. He has every weapon you need from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, is still suspect. Your thoughts on that 60? Wilt Chamberlain would have said, so what? I'd do that half a game, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about that 60 last night, Charlton, and you look at what OKC has tried to do this year, putting together a big 3. 5 years ago, Oklahoma City had that big 3.
Yeah.
Charlton. They had Westbrook. They had Harden.
Yeah.
They had Durant. They had Serge Ibaka. They had a championship caliber team, Charlton.
Yeah.
5 years ago, and they decided to break up the band, as you would say.
Yeah.
And so once they broke up the band, but when you look at what James Harden did last night, dropping 60 points, Charlton.
Yeah.
That was the first 60-point triple-double in NBA history that he shot last night, Charlton. And he only took 30 shots in the game. That's the most astonishing part.
Yeah.
That he only had 30 shots last night, Charlton, and he made 60 points. The last time a player scored 60 points in the NBA, Charlton, was Kobe Bryant's final game.
Yeah.
Okay?
He also took 30 shots too, right? He took 30 shots also?
He took 30 shots in that game, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that was the most shots, the previous most shots prior to that was 60 by Michael Jordan in a game, back in 87.
Wow.
So when you think about what it took Michael Jordan to do, what it took Kobe Bryant to do, Charlton, and then what James Harden eclipsed last night, having a triple-double, Charlton,
yeah,
with 60 points, and that's never been done in NBA history.
Yeah.
To have a triple-double with 60 points, and the ease that he did it at, Charlton.
Yeah.
And you think about, here's a player that last year was in the running for the MVP.
Yep.
And he was beat out by Westbrook, a former teammate.
Yep.
And you think about where he is right now. Is there anybody on the equal plane right now with James Harden in the NBA? I mean, we all know that LeBron is the greatest.
Yeah.
We all know that Steph Curry and Kevin Durant can score at will.
Yeah.
But, James Harden scores consistently. When you look at him over the last 3 years in the NBA,
yeah,
has there really been a better scorer in the last 3 years in the NBA than James Harden? I know last year in the playoffs, it seems that he got a little tired in that final game.
Yeah.
And that, he just didn't have the help.
Yeah.
But right now, everything he does is so effortless.
Yeah.
Is that, whether he wants to go to the rim, whether he wants to shake you down and pull it up and take a step back.
Yep.
And drop that dime down on you, Charlton.
Yeah.
James Harden right now is just playing head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA as far as consistency. And last night, dropping that 60 points proved it.
Yeah. I tell you what, he is a guy, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because you look at Boston, you look at Miami, you look at Cleveland, and in the West you look at Houston, you look at Minnesota and Golden State. Those are the top teams in their own divisions. If you're looking at, we do have Durant is a bad boy. We know Curry can shoot the lights out, and we know that Harden can do the same thing too. I'm going to say Kyrie can do it for Boston. I'm not as impressed with. Maybe LeBron James can. But I'm going to tell you this, Big C. If you're down 100 to 99, Game 7 NBA Finals, you're on the road. Just make believe we can pick our own teams. Who would you trust with the ball to hit the winning shot to win the championship? Would it be Kyrie Irving? Would it be LeBron James? Would it be Steph Curry? Would it be Durant? Or would it be Harden, Big C? And give me your thoughts on why, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to tell you, LeBron's going to be the last guy to get a shot still.
Yeah.
He's taken out of the equation right away.
Okay.
The rest of it is a hard challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, when you realistically look as far as the accuracy of all those sharpshooters, I mean, we saw Durant knock him down last year in the playoffs and get Golden State that title. You saw Steph Curry do it a couple seasons ago, Charlton, when he brought that title in. Harden, has not gotten to that point yet, in the playoffs that he can do. We see what he can do during the regular season.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, he's close. He can shake anybody down, get to the hole. I mean, Durant for me, I want with the last shot at any time because there's no one that can challenge this shot. Now, I'm going to put Harden number 2 on the list because he can shoot it from anywhere. He'll take it to the 10, he can hit it from outside.
Yeah.
But, when I look at those two players right there, Steph's a little light the rear end so people can put him on the floor.
Yeah.
So, I go Durant 1, Harden number 2.
Yeah. That's incredible. And because I would go with Harden also. Just because, I mean, if you look at all the 5 players we talked about, LeBron, he's going to either go hard to the basket and hope he gets fouled. But even when he does that bully ball, there's no guarantee he's going to make that layup. He might go for the dunk, etc. Okay, Harden can dunk also. But what Harden can do, that LeBron can't do, is he can give the fake foul. The flop thing that's still not called on him. Manu Ginobili made that famous also. But when Harden's driving the basket, he can give you that fake foul like Mike Tyson just punched him. He'll throw the ball at the basket anyway. But he's also physical enough to take the punishment and make the basket. Curry is a little bit light in the game, Big C, so we understand that. So he's good at shooting the 3. But driving the basket, he can fake you out, but he can't take that bump like Harden and then fake the foul and then make it also. And then Durant, he's long and lean, but he can't take the bump like a Harden. And he doesn't have the fake foul like Harden. And so, and Irving's just not as big as those guys. He's a lot like Curry, fast and smaller. But what I do like about Harden, what you brought up, he's like I guess if he played football, he'd be maybe a tight end. He has that physical gift that you just got to respect because he also has the officials on his side. He's a magician with the basketball, and I love that about him. Big C, last thing I want to bring it to you, just in the world of sports, and I know we talked about the State of the Union, we talked about what's happened with NASA at Michigan State and the U.S. Olympics and all those things that matter. But I want to get your thoughts, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. Coming up on the Super Bowl, we look at the big trade that just happened in the NFL. You have Alex Smith going from Kansas City, where he was their guy for a long time and just couldn't get it over the hump. And now they ship him up to Washington, and he's going to replace Cousins. Both of them threw for over 4,000 yards this year. Alex Smith threw for 4,042 yards, 26 touchdowns, a 6'4", 217-pounder. His 13th season out of Utah, a first-round draft pick by the 49ers back in the day. What does he bring to Washington that Cousins didn't already bring, Big C? Your thoughts?
What he brings to Washington, Charlton, is a quarterback that wants to be there, wants to sign a long-term contract. He's going to sign a 3-year extension to the contract that he has, Charlton, so that's going to put him in place. Well, actually, a 4-year extension.
Yeah.
So that's going to put him in place for the next 5 years. When you draft a quarterback as a rookie, Charlton, that's what they sign is a 5-year contract, and hopefully that they can develop. What this does for Washington is that they're not pressed down to hunt for a first-round draft pick at quarterback.
Yeah.
Is that they can fill a need. They bring in Alex Smith. They pick up 2 other draft picks, Charlton, and mainly a 3rd-rounder.
Yeah.
They may spend that 3rd-rounder on a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Somebody who they hopefully can develop, and that's about the right spot. You want to pick a developmental quarterback in, Charlton. But what he does is he stabilizes an offense in D.C.
Yeah.
He can push the ball down the field. He became a better pusher down the field this year than he had in the past, Charlton, because he was willing, because he was challenged in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And now all they have to do is surround him with a couple of good receivers, Charlton. We know that Aaron Pryor had a decent year last year.
Yeah.
The kid out of Ohio State just wasn't playing quarterback.
Yeah.
And, so this is what they have to develop, there for that team is a receiving core.
Yeah.
Put some running backs around him. We saw what Kareem Hunt did, helping him out in the backfield last year as a rookie. If that offensive line in D.C. can stay healthy, Alex Smith can really help that team. They had a decent defense.
Yeah.
The problem was they had inconsistency in quarterback. And people say, well, the statistics are basically the same. Well, that interception ratio is the biggest difference between the 2 quarterbacks, Charlton. turnovers, you have more opportunities to win a game. And that's what Alex Smith does. He doesn't take the chances that Kirk Cousins does. He's more of a general. He's been around 13 years. People say, well, he's older. Well, he's more mature.
Yeah.
He understands the game better.
Yeah.
And he understands this most likely is his last stop in the NFL. So he wants to make the best of this. And when he came into the NFL, he was the first overall draft pick that year. Aaron Rodgers went, I believe, number 22 that year to Green Bay. There were only two quarterbacks taken in the first round that year when they came in 13 years ago into the NFL draft. And they both had levels of success. And, you know, people will say that Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. But he's only been to one Super Bowl. Alex Smith has been to one Super Bowl. He was a backup on the team at that time.
Yeah.
So they both entered the same amount of Super Bowls. They both had relatively the same amount of success. It's just that Aaron Rodgers is looked at as a better quarterback because he won one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But when you look at their records, there's not much difference, Jonathan, and overall, in the past several years, when you look at how successful each one of their teams have been, Jonathan, their records are relatively close.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, you said, how can you lose? I guess your friend Mel Kiper right now is losing his mind, Jonathan, because he had all these quarterbacks slated where they were going to go out of college at these draft picks. But right now, free agency has kind of disrupted that whole thing. You know, Cleveland has the number one pick. They're not going to take a quarterback with the number one pick, Jonathan. There are four quarterbacks out there, maybe even seven, that Cleveland can choose from. And on the top of the list could be your cousin. He's going to find out that he's not going to get $35 million real soon, Jonathan, come March.
Wow, that's incredible, Big C. There's always money to get out there. We can always get it to every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no woman should ever have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.